What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys another ranking. With the release of Lion King, the 2019 live-action Disney remake, it's time for me to give you guys my ranking of all the live-action Disney remakes from worst to best. If you guys are new here, feel free to click that subscribe button and that bell notification icon for more reviews, reactions, rankings, and more movie content. Be sure to let me know your ranking for all the live-action Disney remakes from your least favorite to your favorite down below in the comments section. If you guys haven't seen the Lion King remake yet, then leave the ones you have seen down below. This list is completely subjective. These are just my opinions. This isn't the right list because all film is subjective here on YouTube. So just respect that while you're watching this video and let's have a positive time. So without further ado, we got 14 films to rank, so let's get started. Coming in at number 14 is gonna be Maleficent. Maleficent is a live-action Disney remake that is about Maleficent, who is the main villain in Sleeping Beauty. And she's played by Angelina Jolie. Now, it seemed like a really cool idea to tell it from the perspective of not Sleeping Beauty, not Aurora, but to tell it from the perspective of the villain Maleficent. I just didn't buy Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. I thought she gave a really hollow performance. Charlton Copley as well was very forgettable. Elle Fanning as Aurora was really underwhelming. It really changed up the character of Maleficent and went completely against the source material. Maleficent is not a good person at all. She is one of the most evil Disney villains of all time. And you make her Karen towards Aurora, which is not the point. Plus, they also made the three fairy godmothers extremely annoying. This movie all around is pointless, and why in the hell is it getting a sequel this year? Coming in at number 13 is going to be Alice Through the Looking Glass, the sequel to Alice in Wonderland. This is also a really terrible sequel. It really changed up a lot of things from the first Alice in Wonderland movie. Tim Burton isn't directing it this time around, and this movie felt really weird and awkward. The first one was more of an adventure movie about Alice. This one is a time travel movie where Alice has to go back in time and try to save the Mad Hatter's family. The cast I'm not really a huge fan of. Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter, Anne Hathaway as the White Queen, and Helena Bonham Carter as the Red Queen. I'm just not a fan of the cast all around. And these Alice in Wonderland movies, they just feel totally Tim Burtonized. And with the time travel aspects of this movie, it feels really cheesy and corny. And most of it doesn't make sense. Plus it has frickin' Sacha Baron Cohen as Time. Really? Such a stupid character all around. And yeah, it just was a disappointment compared to the first one. It just went in its own way and it just didn't feel Alice in Wonderland. At number 12 is going to be the newly released Lion King. I just saw the Lion King last night, so my review is up on my channel. Go check out my spoiler-free thoughts all around. If you watch that review, you know I did not like this movie at all, and I didn't feel disappointed. I didn't feel surprised at all that this movie was a total shot-for-shot remake of the original '94 classic, because what can you change about that movie that isn't perfect, or what can you improve upon that original film? This movie did nothing really original at all, only a couple things. Jon Favreau just really took the source material, just made it into live action. I thought the cast was really hollow and didn't have the energy and the passion just like in the original film. The songs also felt really phoned in, especially Be Prepared. They shortened that a lot. Can You Feel the Love Tonight makes no sense. It takes place in the daytime, not the nighttime. And it just feels like the same movie we've seen before. The best thing I can take away from this remake is the visual effects. Jon Favreau, what he did with the Jungle Book, bringing it into the Lion King, making it look totally realistic, is great. The visual aspects are amazing in this film, but everything else, I will never watch this film again, and I have the original. Coming in at number 11 is going to be Dumbo. Tim Burton's Dumbo felt totally different from the original. It's 2 hours long. It is way longer, an hour longer than the original. This movie is a mess all around. The human aspects of this movie are the most boring parts. Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito. I will say Danny DeVito was the best part about this movie out of the humans. But I wanted more of Dumbo and Mama Dumbo. Obliterated the baby mine song. They glossed over it. If you're gonna make a Dumbo remake, you cannot disrespect the baby mine song. It's the most famous song from the original. And they glossed over it like that. Tim Burton adds his gothic elements and his really dark aspects, and it just does not work for this Dumbo remake, and I'd rather watch the original again. Coming in at number 10 is going to be Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton live-action remake. This first Alice in Wonderland was pretty enjoyable at times. I didn't hate it, but I thought Mia Wasikowska was a good part of both of these movies. Johnny Depp could care less, Anne Hathaway, Helena Bonham Carter, bleh. But I do like the visual aspects that Tim Burton brings in this Alice in Wonderland remake, bringing all the characters back especially, and having a little of a fun adventure. This war between the White Queen and the Red Queen, the two sisters. The Red Queen is insane. She wants the head of Alice, and we go through different puzzles all around. There are some really clunky aspects, and the humor just doesn't work all around. And also Alice's storylines jumping back and forth with her real time, as well as going into the world where the Mad Hatter is. Just all around, it's a total Tim Burton movie. If you're a huge Tim Burton fan, then you really enjoyed this. But for me, this one's enjoyable, but I didn't love it. Coming in at number 9 is going to be 102 Dalmatians, the sequel to 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close. Glenn Close is the best part out of both of these movies. And in here, she's just coming out of jail, and she's super nice to puppies and everything like that. She thinks puppies are the cutest now. And it felt tonally off from the first movie. Like, this movie didn't feel as fun as the first one, or over the top like Glenn Close was in the first one. Here, she's very sweet and doesn't feel like the Cruella de Vil we know and love. There are some dumb comedic things in this movie with a parrot. There are some disappointing aspects with the dogs, and just an overall adventure that goes away from the fun of the first movie. It just feels like a wacky adventure that is totally for kids, where I felt like the first one had some mature themes to it and adults could enjoy it, like me, but this one felt up the kids' alley with kid humor, and it just felt like this cash grab full of nothing. Which brings me to my number 8, and that is 101 Dalmatians. Now, like I said, Glenn Close was the best part of this first 101 Dalmatians movie. I thought Glenn Close was so good and so over the top as Cruella de Vil. She was this gibberish, crazy old lady who just wants to burn puppies so she can make a fur coat. I will take your puppies and make me a fur coat. Super over the top. The henchmen were really funny as well. And it introduces the crazy aspects of the Dalmatians movies, of bringing all these Dalmatian puppies. Like, how the hell could they fit them all in this house? And so, Jeff Daniels also was great, but it feels wacky, goofy, fun, but it just doesn't feel like a rewatchable film out of the live-action Disney remakes. That's why it's at where it's at. Which brings me to my number 7, and that is The Jungle Book 1994. I actually really enjoyed this Jungle Book adaptation. There were so many Jungle Book movie adaptations, but this one was a good amount of fun, but it also feels very dated. Jason Scott Lee as Mowgli was really confusing and underwhelming most of the time, where Mowgli as a young boy grows up, he can't talk, and then he learns how to speak in the movie. He grows up into a man, and that felt really different and off, because Mowgli's mostly a boy in the movies, and so that kind of confused me. Lena Headey as well is in it. She's fine. Sam Neill plays the father. I think he's the best aspect of this movie. It felt very Indiana Jones, the last act. For sure felt like Indiana Jones when they go into King Louis's temple and they're trying to get some treasure. Definitely felt like the ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it didn't feel like its own original thing. And throughout this whole movie, it didn't feel at all like a Jungle Book movie. It felt more like a Tarzan movie, if I'm being honest, because the animals don't talk at all like in the other Jungle Book movies. So overall, I didn't hate this movie, but there are some aspects they could have improved upon and made it more original to stand out on its own. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Beauty and the Beast. I didn't hate this movie all around. I enjoyed it when I saw it in theaters, and to be completely honest with you guys, I've not rewatched this movie since I saw it in theaters. I might rewatch it soon just to freshen up on it, but from what I remember, this was a shot-for-shot remake of the original. Emma Watson, great actress, very attractive and beautiful. I love her as Hermione Granger, but she didn't work as Belle. I thought she gave a really underwhelming performance all around, acting-wise and singing-wise. The singing felt completely auto-tuned as Belle. It felt really awkward. Dan Stevens as the Beast is good. The best performances are Luke Evans as Gaston and Josh Gad as LeFou. And they changed LeFou's character of him being gay compared to the original. That was interesting. But Luke Evans brought that charisma as Gaston. I love his charisma as Gaston. Not as good as the original, but still cool. Way longer than the original. This was like 2 hours and 10 minutes long. So it felt really long. And it overstayed its welcome. They just extended scenes all around. I didn't hate this movie. I did enjoy a lot of aspects of it, but I didn't like a lot of aspects as well. So I'm 50-50 on it. Going into the top 5, at number 5 is going to be Pete's Dragon, a really underrated live-action Disney remake. Now, this is the only film in this one that is not a live-action remake of a Disney animated film. This movie was a live-action / animated film, Pete's Dragon. Just like Beauty and the Beast, I've only seen this movie once since it came out in theaters, and I remember really liking this movie in theaters. David Lowery directed this movie. I thought he did a fantastic job. I wish he directed more movies. I remember Robert Redford was in this movie, and Bryce Dallas Howard as well. I thought they were great. And I really liked the young boy with Pete the Dragon. Their relationship was really great, and the dragon scenes were so awesome. I think I remember Carl Urban plays the villain. I thought he was cool too. And yeah, there's just not a lot I remember, but I remember really liking this movie in theaters and praising it in my review. So I definitely need to rewatch this one like very soon, because I really enjoyed the dragon aspects. It reminded me of How to Train Your Dragon. And yeah, coming in at number 4 is going to be Christopher Robin. Ooh, Christopher Robin. Yes, the Winnie the Pooh movie that came out last year, and Christopher Robin had the feels, man. The things I really liked about Christopher Robin were Jim Cummings back as Winnie the Pooh and Ewan McGregor as Christopher Robin. I thought they were great. Christopher Robin as a character is very unlikable at the start because he's really miserable in his life. He's working a lot, and there's not a lot of happiness to him. And he's kind of mean to Winnie the Pooh in the first act, but he comes around as a character. Haley Atwell, really underrated actress, love her as Peggy Carter. She's in this as well. And I remember there were some really turd-jerking moments in here, a lot of emotional aspects. With Winnie the Pooh, with Tigger, Eeyore was great as well, and Piglet, all of the characters. I grew up with Winnie the Pooh. I loved Winnie the Pooh as the kid, and Jim Cummings as Winnie the Pooh is classic. And this Christopher Robin movie was really sweet. We're in the top 3 now. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Cinderella. Cinderella, I just watched this movie a few days ago for the first time, and I really liked this Cinderella adaptation. Kenneth Branagh directed it. I didn't know Kenneth Branagh directed it. That's awesome. Lily James was in this. This was like her breakout role. I thought she was great as Cinderella. I really like Cate Blanchett as the evil stepmother. She was great. Cate Blanchett, that's perfect casting. Richard Madden, Robb Stark from Game of Thrones, plays the prince. He was great as well. They get rid of the songs. This is just a straight up Cinderella movie without the songs, in a realistic take on it, a more grounded version of it. I felt a lot of mature themes in the Cinderella remake, and I think it's one for the kids and the adults. I think the adults can enjoy this one, but the kids will love it, especially young girls. There's some great inspirational things in this, And I really liked the movie. I thought it was really good. Coming in at number 2 is going to be, shockingly, Aladdin. Now, before Aladdin even came out, I was not looking forward to this movie at all. I thought all the trailers were awful. I thought this was going to suck badly. Because Guy Ritchie directed it, and I'm not a Guy Ritchie fan. I didn't love King Arthur. But this Aladdin remake, I really enjoyed it. I need to see it again for sure, because I remember enjoying some good things about it. Will Smith as the genie, like, he felt like a huge meme going into it, and Will Smith was the best part of this movie. He was great as the genie. They made the genie human. That's different from the first one. He did not copy Robin Williams at all. He did his own interpretation of the genie, and they made him human and have a love story as well. The genie opens up the movie and he closes the movie. He's almost the narrator. Will Smith as top villain. Manal Musaad as Aladdin was pretty great. Naomi Scott was great as Jasmine. The bad part was definitely Jafar. Jafar was awful. I thought Manal Musaad and Naomi Scott did a great job singing wise. And there are some issues with the movie that I did have, but as far as rewatchability, I could definitely watch this movie again. It's nowhere near better than the original. But as far as a remake, it really surprised me by how much I enjoyed this Aladdin remake. But of course, coming in at number 1 is going to be The Jungle Book 2016, directed by Jon Favreau. I loved this Jungle Book remake. I know a lot of people don't love it. They're coming around to not loving it and thinking it's overrated, but I really like this Jungle Book remake. I saw it twice in theaters and I loved what Jon Favreau did, making it a more realistic retelling of the Jungle Book. It was not only faithful to the Disney animated film, but it was faithful to Rudyard Kipling's novel as well. I loved Mowgli in this movie. I love Bill Murray as Baloo, Ben Kingsley as Bagheera, Idris Elba as Shere Khan. Great villain, Shere Khan. Really dark and doing a different take on the Jungle Book story. It had some parts, but it was mostly new things that we haven't seen before in the Jungle Book adaptation. It was borrowing a lot from the novel as well as the movie. It was great to see that in here. And the final act was really great. As far as what I define as my Jungle Book movie, it's this one. There you have it, guys. That was my ranking for all the live action Disney remakes. I did 14. If I missed something, let me know down below in the comments. And of course, let me know your ranking of all the live action Disney remakes. And did you love my list? Did you hate my list? Let's talk about it down below. Thank you guys as always for watching this ranking. All my social media links are in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!